Good morning, everybody. I am Fire Lotus. This is the weekly morning witches chat that I do Monday through Friday, starting anywhere from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So today we will also be going over the Oracle card to the Halloween Oracle deck that I've been breaking down since mid-October. I don't really have anything specifically set up to how this conversation or this live witches chat's going to go. I do have some things that I want to talk about and go over, and some exciting events that are going to happen this month. Some things that there's one particular thing that I did not know of, and then the full moon this month is going to be the last full moon of this decade. So, but before I do, that's it. I use this every time, and I want to shout her out. This is Wildcrafted Home Blessing Vibrational Sage Full Moon, charged by the full moon, high vibration sage spray. This is made by a good friend of mine who I call the Herbal Alchemist, and you can get this and much, much more at 3 Sleepy Eyes Apothecary. She has a Facebook, she has an Instagram, she has an Etsy. You should totally go check her out. She also has a Facebook group. So yeah, you should totally go check her out. She does this. She does homemade Florida water. She does soaps. She has stuff for beards. She has stuff for dreads. Totally go check her out. She has way more than what I just said, but you should totally go check her out. And again, 3 Sleepy Eyes Apothecary. Yeah, she's an amazing woman. So that being stated, also, I always shout this out in all of my lives. There are some apps or some websites or some stuff like that I shout out. None of it's sponsored, but they're things that I use in my life, in my craft, every single day to make my world and my life easier. So, with that, Astro Matrix, it is an amazing app. Basically what it does, if you've ever wanted a 100% personalized horoscope, daily, weekly, monthly, and way much more, go to the App Store. Again, Astro Matrix. I'll post a link in the description below, or in the comments below after this. But basically what it is the only thing you will need to know, for one, it is free. I would suggest setting up an account, but it is free. They do have a subscription that you can do, but with this, the only thing you will need is your location that you were born and the exact time you were born in. If you don't have the exact time, that's okay, but the more information you have, the more exact it is. And basically what it is helping you do is you will create, or it will pull up your natal chart and or birth chart, however you want to call it. Basically, that's an exact screenshot of the universe, the planets, the stars, the moon, at the exact moment you came into this world. And basically what that is in a way, think of it as like a map to our lives. With it and learning how to read it, which the app does, it literally makes astrology, I'm not going to say easy, but it makes it to where it's less intimidating, and it also breaks stuff down to where you can understand it, and using it over and over again. I think I've been using it for a year now, almost 2 actually. I think it's about a year and some months, because I started using this app last year in 2018. But I use it every day. It gives you hourly updates of your planets and everything like that. You get numbers daily. You get like a daily number. You get a daily, let's see, I think you still get a daily tarot. I don't know. It just recently has been updated, but it has a retrograde calendar on it. There's so much stuff on there. There's also YouTube videos that break it down to help you understand how the app itself works. I use it every day. Yeah. So, with that, by the way, this is a newer thing that I started to do because I forgot about it. If you have the Halloween Oracle deck and you've lost the book, there is an app in the App Store. I think it's like $2. But once you buy it, once you download it, you can have it on multiple devices. But the reason I'm stating that is because if you have any other Oracle cards, find this app and then go to that app's creator, and they have more Oracle decks that you can basically do. And if you buy the app, you're basically buying the deck, virtually buying the deck, and buying the cards, because I can actually show you this one. But, so see, all the apps, or all the cards. I know it's extremely bright. Let me see. Oh, it's too bright. Let's see. There you go. Winter, but like it has a description on all of them. You can do readings, so much other stuff. So, yeah, okay. Got that out of the way. If you haven't, or if you don't know, I am still doing the 30-day tarot spread challenge. I myself am behind, I think, 2 days. But to anyone who is, and if you don't want to participate and you just want to see it, I've been getting a lot of positive feedbacks with the ones that I have been picking. But I have a board on my Pinterest. I'll also put a link in the comments to where you can, it's called the 30-day tarot challenge. And you basically go on there, and I have all of them, I believe, all of the actual spreads, they only go up to 6. I don't want to pick any ones that's above that, just for the people that are new to it, or, know what I mean, new, not necessarily new to the craft, but new to tarot, or just the people, and this is also the challenge, is for people who have been doing it and just want to refresh course. So yeah, and I update them every day, but basically, all of these spreads, you're either going to, at the end of the 30 days, you will learn more about yourself, your spirits, your spirit guides that are around you, or guides that are around you, your shadow self, life choices and life steps, and also being able to communicate with your ancestors. So, that is a very thing. Now, when I, in any of my videos or any of my lives, when I state talking to ancestors, no, you do not have to be a third generational removed, whatever, witch. You don't even have to know your ancestors. Again, once you start honoring them, and once you start trying to show them that, you know, you remember them, and you're trying to talk to them over time, you will get to a point to where they will be able to relay messages, and you will be able to receive them. And like I said, just by having a picture frame, I got this from a podcast that I listened to. I'm also going to talk about that, or some of the podcasts that I listen to. But they suggested getting a digital picture frame and getting as many pictures as you can of your past loved ones, and just putting it on there, and just setting that somewhere special in your room. That in itself is honoring them. And then if you want, get a candle and or a fake candle, and light it every day. When you do that, that basically, well, you're basically honoring them. And if you do that every day, they know that if that candle is lit or turned on, it's honoring them. It's remembering them. So yeah, I wanted to throw that out there. But I will be going over some podcasts that I listen to. So if you do listen to podcasts, or if you've never listened to a podcast, you should totally check it out. If you have a lot of time in your life or in your day to where, like, you can't sit down and watch something, but you can listen, podcasts are great. I do it throughout my day. And it also helps because I have agoraphobia. Agoraphobia. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. But anyways, so when I do have to walk outside in the yard or anything like that, I use podcast, and it's actually helped. So yeah. So with that, I did state something else, and hopefully this week, I'm actually, once I get through with this live, I will be going over them, but I will be doing more research on them. But in the next coming days, look out for a live that I will be going over the sixth senses, as much as I don't really like using the term. But basically your clairaudience, your clair-psychic powers. What I mean by that is clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, clara, there's so many other ones. I will be going over them. Basically, they're the natural or supernatural gifts, psychic gifts that everybody can have, and basically they're just heightened senses of our normal senses, but to a heightened degree. So yeah, I'll be breaking them down and going over them here recently in my lives. I finally stepped up and stepped into the name of clairvoyance, and I'm learning that on top of the clairvoyance, I also have a little clairsentience. I didn't understand the difference between those, but clairvoyance is basically clear sight. It's clear knowing. It's dreams, events that will come true, like prophecies, or and then clairsentience is clear seeing. So that's also where you use your emotions or feelings or just tuition, and you know things that you shouldn't know. I do this all the time throughout my life, and this more recent path, actually, since I've been doing these lives with my spirituality and my craft. By the way, if you hear me say craft in any of my lives, I'm not talking about the movie. If I ever do talk about the movie, I will let you know. But I've been practicing witchcraft so much, I just say the craft because everybody in my life knows what I'm talking about. So it's just a little bit easier. But, and basically, it's just, there have been moments where, like, I know things that, like, I shouldn't know because I've never read them, I've never done research on them, or anything like that. But, anyways, and everybody can do this. Again, everybody can do this at certain points. You just have to start exercising it and building it up like a muscle. That's basically what your six senses are. Here soon, I will also, well, actually, no, that's going to be part of an interview, hopefully, so I gotta talk to her. Anyways, at one point in time, there will be a show or a live dedicated to Akasha Records, and I have somebody that I'm planning on interviewing for that because they know more about it than I do. But yeah, so some of the events that are happening this wait, I want to make sure I went over everything. By the way, anybody who does see this, I'm still doing readings. Just inbox me on any of the platforms that you see this video on, because for anyone who doesn't know, all these lives that I do, if you miss them for any reason and you don't use Facebook or you don't use, well, I can't post them on Instagram yet, working around that. But I post all of these on my YouTube page, Fire Lotus the Witch. On top of that, there are countless other videos on there that are not lives, that are just dedicated to certain stuff. There's some paranormal experiences. There's the 30-day spiritual challenge that I do. If you haven't checked that out, you should totally do it. Literally go to YouTube, type in 30-day spiritual challenge, and my video will pop up. On top of that, if you use TikTok, for anyone who do, I also have a TikTok, Fire Lotus the Witch, and I think it's actually set up like my Instagram name is, which is fire_lotus_the_witch. Fire Lotus the Witch. So yeah. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about some other stuff. There's so much stuff. By the way, I am caffeinated today. Just to let you know. So yeah. For one, we have the full moon that's coming up on the 12th, the full moon in Gemini, and there's also, it's the full moon in Gemini and the new moon we're having this month too. What it falls into, I still have to look into it because I've only heard it once, but what it falls into is basically it's going to be a chapter. It's going to be like almost a full circle with the moon cycles. So with that, last new moon and the last full moon of the decade, people. Think about the spells and magic you can do with that. Come on. With that being stated, in the last month of December of this last decade, remember, the rainwater or storm water or moon water or solar water that you create and or collect, they will be extremely powerful in the simple fact that is literally like an entire decade. Also, with that, I'm going to make a note of this because it just kind of came to me. So, for the people who see this, if you were like me, and for my sprouts, you technically can still kind of do this. Anyways, by the way, Sprouts is basically for anyone who's kind of new or starting their journey. I'm using Sprouts because, I don't know, it just kind of came to me and I like it. It's better than, because I know some people, including me, don't like the whole newbie baby witch thing, so Sprouts. And then you'll eventually become a Lotus. Or a Podling and then a Lotus. I don't know, I'm still figuring that out. But, by the way, I am still taking one other student. I'm working with one, and it's very interesting, I will say that, due to the fact of where they're at. They're in another part of the world, and they don't have access to everything we do, so that's going to be extremely tricky. But I am taking on another student. I will officially start. I'm going to use the last of this month to basically just talk to you, get to know you, get on a more, sociable level. And then in January is when I will start that. By the way, with that, for the people that do tune in almost every day to these, or for the people that don't, once I break these down, once I finish the Oracle cards, which we should finish this month, I left a poll up. I'm going to do it again because after this, there are two options that I can do. We can start breaking down this Native American medicine wheel Oracle deck, meditational Oracle deck. We can start breaking that down. Basically, every day that I do a live, we'll do it alphabetically from start to finish. Or, we will be breaking down, I knew I forgot something. I forgot to bring my booklet to these back here. But we will be breaking down, if y'all don't choose this, then we can be breaking down the entire Witches, Green Witch Tarot deck. If we break these down, I have, are these back here? I think they're, yes. If we do use the tarot cards, or pick the tarot cards, I have extra stuff that I will also be going over, and we will be breaking down the entire Oracle deck from starting with the major arcanas to the minor arcanas, from A to B, and all the ones in between. If we do decide to do this, I will be starting this in January. The first live that I do in January, or the first Monday in January, will be the first day that we do this, and because this will be a dedication, so I think it would be cool to do a year thing. Now, back to what I was stating earlier. I just wanted to go ahead and get that out there. For the people, or for the witches, or practitioners, or however, spiritual people that collect and gather rainwater, storm water, solar water, moon water, for the people that do, something just came to me, and it's an awesome idea. Why not make a bottle of decade water? And you're like, what the hell is that? Every water, all the water that you've collected throughout the years of this decade, mix that all together in one small batch or a big batch, and you have decade water, which means you will literally have a bottle of water that has decades worth of moon, full moon, or storm magic in it, swirling around. Okay, for one, wow, that the power and the oomph you can add to your spells. But on top of that, imagine saving it for 2 decades into the future. 20 years from now. Imagine using it. Imagine what that would be like, and then charging it under every full moon of this, starting of this decade. Think about that. You could literally do it every decade to where your bottle gets bigger and you just add more, and literally, and I don't know, think about that. In 30 years, you have 3 decades. No, wait, 30 years. Yeah. 10, 20, 30. Yeah. 3 decades. Imagine that. Imagine the power behind that. So, yep, for the people that actually watch these, whoop whoop. I believe the 17th of this month, things will be getting slightly back to normal for me. I will be, my hotspot will re-up, and I will be able to pull more articles and stuff. With the Craft remake, I am very interesting to see how y'all feel about this. And I have mixed feelings about it. before I state anything that I'm about to state or that is about to flow from my mouth, no, I am not throwing any shade to the specific type of sexuality and or non-fluid things that I'm about to say or anything with LGBT. I am part of the LGBT community in more than one way. So, yeah. No hate. I'm not transphobic. I'm not homophobic. I'm not anything like that. I'm not genderphobic, genderless phobic. None of that. But a key part of this new Craft remake movie, I realized, or I found out some crucial information about one of the characters, which would be Nancy's character. In the new remake of The Craft, Nancy's character... Ooh, I don't know if I want to say this because it is a spoiler. No, I'll say this. I don't know if this fully went in or not, but Blumhouse, the production company that's doing it, one of their character actor ploys when they were, trying to cast, they released it and it was leaked, and there's an Instagram account that I follow that basically every information they can get about this movie, they have been posting it. But Nancy, originally, I don't now. Again, I do not know if they did this or if it actually went this route, but they were looking for a trans actress or actor. Actress? Yeah, it'd be actress. Trans actress, I believe actress, actor, performer. There we go. They were looking for a trans performer to play Nancy because it is a very, very key part in this movie. So yeah, there's some tidbit right there. For anyone who doesn't, or for anyone who hasn't heard it yet, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, will be released January the 23rd, I believe. Yes, so. Now, again, I have been, I throw updates about TV shows and movies and stuff like that too as well, so. But, with that being stated, let's see, oh yeah, on top of the full moon of the last decade, get this, people, did not even know this, I do not know if this is going to be visible in the United States or all parts or even here where I'm at, but we are going to have a solar eclipse December the 26th. So think about that. On top of that, this full moon, I shared an article. I have to look at the time myself. But this full moon is on the 12th of the 12th month, 12/12. And apparently the moon itself is supposed to be at 12:12 a.m. So yeah, it's supposed to be 12/12/12/12/12. So that's a huge thing. Last full moon. On top of that, right? All this amazing stuff happening, right? Wait for it, wait for it. Next year is a leap year. And for the people that don't know, I recently learned a leap year is very special. Now, the reason this is because, for one, a leap year is basically a year to where instead of having 365, we actually have 366. And I never wondered why or asked this question, but I learned it anyways, and now I'm like, holy shit, I wish I would have known that before. The reason we have leap years is actually... it is a way for our lunar and solar calendar to actually sync up and actually become one. It takes a 4-year process for this to happen, and the leap year marks the beginning of it. So with it being a leap year next year, that means that theoretically you could create and or over the next 4 years process and continue doing a spell or something that you can continually feed and make it a 4-year spell. So at the start in January, and then at the very end of, say, December of 4 years from now, the last day of this year, it completely ends, or say it manifests, and then you would use the New Year's energy behind the New Year's and the celebration of that to what? Pop that bubble, the spell that you've been creating and pumping into for 4 years. Think about what you would be able to accomplish and do with that. Think about that. I've stated in these videos that nowadays there are all types of different practitioners and witches and conjurers and all types of that. And what I mean by that is, also with that, especially in witchcraft, there are a number of things that it's repetitively repeated that, you were supposed to break down every aspect of everything that goes into a spell. The more of those that you can add up and sink in to work more better. And what I mean by that, I'm talking about planets that, with herbs and stuff, every herb is ruled under a planet, and that planet or that plant or herb has a basically male or feminine aspect. With that, you add it up with the planets, and then add the planets with the days, and the days with the months, and the years, and the so much other correspondences that you can add to a spell to literally where everything syncs up. There are some practitioners and some witches that will literally wait months, years, weeks, possibly decades for that perfect moment to where all the planets, all the lunars, the sun, everything is lined up at an exact time, and they will literally wait all of this time and just to do the spell. In witchcraft books, a lot of them are like, for each day of the week, there are certain days that if you do certain types of magic on, apparently it's supposed to help them out more. Thursdays for luck and money, Friday for love, Saturday, of course, is ruled by Saturn. But so, and then think of a mojo bag or a honey jar. Think about what that is. You're basically creating something that you're feeding over and over again. That way, and the reason now mojo bag is slightly different from a candle. A honey jar. But basically, a honey jar is there are types of spells that instead of lighting a candle and you getting that money for that rent or those bills or something like that, for instead of one time just for it to come in, these are types of things that you can do to where it's like a waterfall. It's constantly flowing in. It's like a river. You create a magical river linked to your life, and depending on the creator of how they do this, it's either every full moon or every new moon. Traditionally, I believe normally it's a full moon, but every full moon there will be, you feed your candle. That can, again, it depends on how it's created, but that could either be you add stuff to the actual jar, or there's a special candle that comes with them that is anointed, that basically everything that is anointed on that candle, all the herbs, spices, powders, all that stuff, incense, and even oils, basically in a way it feeds that jar. So that jar is constantly raking, constantly basically bringing in and attracting all that stuff that you put in there. So if it's a love one, it's a happiness one, it's a wealth one, it's a money one, all of them. And then there are also types of candle spells that you can do. The dollar candle ones that you can get that's in a glass beaker like this, those are perfect for it because they will literally burn for a while. So you can literally make like little marks on the jar and make it a 7-day candle spell. There's so much other stuff that you can do with them, and it's insane that a lot of people just don't really talk about that. And it's not even really that. This is kind of breaking down, and it's kind of going away, but I find it amazing too at the same time, is because a lot of the things that you hear now, or you hear other people talk about, the money jars, the honey jars, there's a lot of other stuff that has recently, I'd say in the past 5 years, that has actually kind of, because if you look at where honey jars originally came from, or, there are certain aspects of certain spiritual paths or magical practices like hoodoo, root work, conjuring, even in voodoo, honestly, in some Wiccan traditions as well, there are a lot of things that before, say, 10, 20 years ago, the only way you knew about it, or if you knew truly how to do it, was to what? Basically, if you were part of that type of practice. But now, due to the fact that our generation, 90s babies, the 80s babies, the late 80s, early 90s babies, and we'll just 90s babies, we've kind of grown up and like broke out of that, okay, we're gonna keep all of this shit in the traditions. No, we're like, due to the fact of social media, of course, and the internet. But we're like, oh shit, wait, we can share this with other people. We can get this out here. And now there are so much other stuff. Speaking of my Pinterest, and I believe it's public so people can see it. If you do have a Pinterest, I have another Pinterest, or I have a board on there that's called Sigils. You should totally check that out. Literally, there are probably over 200 sigils that I've added to that. And I do, every single time I go on Pinterest, I try adding to it. So yeah, and sigils, basically, they're magic symbols that are created that you can either put on you or write down, and it helps with certain things. I'm eventually going to do a video of that. But, so yeah, like, we have so much astrological stuff happening right now. Or that will be happening in this month. Like I said, now you can make decade water. Decade moon solar water, however you want to do that, however you want to word that. You have the solar eclipse. If you make that water, if you make the decade water, now you would theoretically be able to charge that with the last eclipse of this decade, the solar eclipse that we are having. So in a way, you could make a balanced decade water as well, because it could be a bunch of decades worth of moon water in a little jar, and then you charge it during the solar eclipse of this decade, the last one of this decade. So that in itself, think about what that would do, adding it to different types of spells and magic and rituals down the line. Holy shit. Like, decades of full moon in a bottle. Why has nobody thought about this? In every book that I have right now that goes over rainwater, moon water, anything like that, I have never stated somebody saying, oh wait, there's decade water. And for anybody who's tuning in, if you don't know, I just came up with, or it came to me while I was talking about this decade water. If you are someone who has practiced, and like me, I have like 15 jars that literally have different types of moon water, rain water, storm water, eclipse water, lake water. Imagine getting all the bottles of rainwater that you have collected over the decade, this last decade, and adding it to one jar, adding a little bit of everything to one jar, and then charging it this coming full moon, this Thursday on the 12th, charging it on the last day of the last full moon of this decade, and then also charging it on the last solar eclipse of this decade. Holy shit! Think about the purity energy that has behind it. Like, and for the people that do have a little darker kind of, wiggly path, the people that do kind of do some dark stuff, dude, you add that to a vinegar jar, that damn sure gonna fuck somebody's world up. That's a decade worth of power. Holy shit! Yes, I know I'm cussing a lot. Sorry for the people who don't like it. But I'm keeping it real. That's just me. Also, you may have noticed the camera looks a little bit different. For anyone who wants an amazing little gift or anything like that can help you out, Dollar General right now has tripods for your phone for $5. And it's changed my life right now, because now I finally have something that will keep my phone up in the position and the height that I want it, but I will also be able to charge it while it's doing it, so it's free-handed. So, and I've been using it since my partner brought it home to me as like a little gift, an early Yule gift. We've been using it constantly, and the particular one that I'm talking about, it actually, like, you can wrap it around a bar, but you can hold it like this, and then also the way that I have it right now is it's actually turned to the side. So it's holding my camera freestand, but, so yeah, expect a lot more things coming with that. Something moved outside my house. But, okay, wait, because I made this list. Okay. Boop, decade, boom, boom, boom. Gotta go over that. Boom. Okay. So, some podcasts that I, listen to. For anybody who uses Spotify, there's also, Castbox. I use Spotify, though. I did use Castbox, but I had some issues with it. Every single time I connected to the Wi-Fi, it started randomly downloading stuff. Anyways, podcast. There is one podcast that I am 50-50 with, just because I don't necessarily know how I feel about the name. But the information and the people they have on there, I've learned so much, which is Basic Witches. I know, I rolled my eyes as well. But Basic Witch, or Basic Witches, that's one. Three Wise Cats, wow. Three Pagans and a Cat is a very good one. I love that one, honestly. Now, with all of these podcasts, they are witchy, but they're completely different types of paths, and they go over everything. The episode that I was just listening to, Basic Witches, is the newest one they have. They brought in somebody who is an expert on Akasha Records. Of course, I'm going to shout out one of my favorite and one of, as my Sunday ritual, Southern Fried Witch. Y'all, if y'all haven't, y'all need to check her out. She also has a blog with that, and that's actually how it came. She had the blog before these podcasts, so totally check her out. Like, her voice is almost like a siren. Like, it just completely, like, grabs you and just makes you feel comfortable, and you're just completely zoned in. And she has had so much stuff go on in her life. She is one of the wisest crones I've ever heard. Like, so amazing. Totally check her out. Let's see, there's Flatline. That's a good one. I think it's Flatline. I should have actually made a list of this. Let me see if I can access it on this phone. Like I said, y'all, once I get my, I re-up my data and my hotspot gets better, I would be able to talk about this more. And I'll make an actual post of it, make sure I post a link with them. There are so many others on Spotify. Like, say, if you do use Spotify, go to the podcast section or the search bar and type in podcast, and then just type in witch. There's so much stuff that you can learn. Through listening to these podcasts and different types of podcasts, I've learned that a lot of the things that I thought were they were ideas and theories behind certain things in the spiritual view or the witchcraft view, and they were actually right. And that goes into something, was it Ancient Aliens? I think it was Ancient Aliens. I was watching a show, and no, actually, I think it was on YouTube. They were talking about how, and if you've ever thought about this right here is, we're going to talk about the connected conscious. Okay, now I've personally spoke about that multiple times, but the reason, one of the leading ideas behind this reason, is because if you go back and you look at some of the best inventions, or some of the historical inventions, things that were created that completely, like, changed everything we are. Now these don't necessarily have to be big ones. These do with instruments, like the first telephone, a lot of Nikola Tesla. I think I'm saying his name right. A lot of his inventions, if you actually look back worldwide, it's not the exact same thing, which means it's slightly different, but it's almost, theoretically, it's at the very base of it, it's the exact same idea. I've had experience with this where, I'm pretty sure you've heard it. I don't know if everybody who views this have seen it. I'm pretty sure they have. Wizards of Waverly Place. Before that came to Disney Channel, and before they advertised it, it was in the same year, though. And this blew my mind, because this was the first time, and this is before cell phones. This is before the cell phones we have now. It was before they started listening in and recording everything we sang. I was talking to my mom, and I remember this very specifically because it was one of the first times I also got to create, like, just a pizza that, like, it was a very great time in my life, this particular year, or this particular moment. Anyways, I was talking to my mom, and I was like, and actually, what's really funny is, I think this was the year that I turned 13. So, this was also the year that, like, I actually openly started practicing witchcraft. So, this is kind of why. But I looked at my mom, and I was like, why has, like, Disney or Nickelodeon or something, why have they not created a show that, it's witches, but, like, kind of make it to where, like, it's not canceled? We didn't have anything like that. I shit you not, almost 3 months after that, or a year later. I can't remember if it was the same year or not. I would have to actually go back and check that. But they started advertising for it. And my mom was in the room when we first saw it, and she stopped, and she's like, I was like, see there? See? But it's things like that. See, nowadays, if you have like this crazy ass idea and you're talking to someone about it, and a week later, a month later, a year later, you wind up seeing that. Or, perfect example of what I mean by our cell phones are listening. If you talk about an ad, a movie, or something like that, and then you open up your Google right after that, your Google's top search, 9 times out of 10, it's the exact movie you were talking about. Or, start watching this on your phones, your advertisements that you see on different types of websites, some of the stuff you never even looked at using your keyboard, but you've spoken about it close enough to your phone to where the Google keyboard or voice thing works. And see, in a way, you have to understand our microphones through Google or Siri, whoever you have on your phone, it technically, in a way, kind of constantly has to be listening, because if not, it doesn't know when you activate it by saying its name. I'm not going to say, hey, because it'll activate on my phone and probably mess this thing up. But that's also how, commercials work, how ads work. Something you search for using Google, if you go to your Facebook, and actually this happened to me yesterday, this is something I'd never in 1,000 years ever tried to research, which was, how do they come up with, how did they know how much to charge us for energy? And I originally stated, I was like, well, they have to somehow, do it by watts or kilowatts or something. And I was like, what, 11 cents a kilowatt? Actually, they do. It's something around like that. But, after I actually Googled how they did it, I went to YouTube and I was watching a video, and this ad popped up, which is for this, little weird energy box that apparently you hook up to your, power source, and it gives you a better, instead of the power companies, because a lot of power companies, they just kind of estimate. It's not an exact, science to it. This box, on the other hand, due to the fact that it's directly linked to it, and it's keeping track of it, it actually is supposed to, give you a almost real, more authentic how much uses of power you are. And basically, what I learned from just Googling it, they basically charge, and this is different depending on the states and stuff, but it's they charge 12 cents for every kilowatt hour. So that's basically how they rough up how much our energy is. Because I don't know, I was always thinking about that. I was like, wait, how the hell do they really actually, charge us for energy? How does that, because, everything we make and stuff like that, it's, percent on with every, percentage. Well, with power, apparently, it's every kilowatt hour. And they have an estimate thing on there. But that's basically how your phones do, and it's just a part of who we are. Well, way back then, we didn't have this idea, but if you actually go back and look, around the same time, say, almost said Vincent Van Gogh. No, it's not Vincent Van Gogh. Michelangelo. There we go. I think I said his name right. The inventor. Not even the inventor. Anybody, really. Go back and look at the first microphone, or the first, I don't know, almost anything. But scientists have already done this too, by the way. So there is critical evidence behind this. But basically what they realized is, as they went back and made a timeline of this, there were different people on different parts of the world, but in the exact same time. And when I mean the exact same time, I'm talking a day to a week to a year difference. They basically had the exact same idea, but slightly different. And this is basically where the consciousness comes in, the connected consciousness, which is basically, we're all connected. And another thing to perfectly exemplify this, if you look at every single year, if you go back and look at all the action movies, all the different types of movies and all the different types of genres, there is a trend behind them, because you'll see the same movie 3 different times in a slightly different storyline. And it's all because Well, it's also how think tanks work. If you get a bunch of people together and you keep them together long enough thinking on the same thing, they will all wind up coming up with the same idea. And that's the connected consciousness. And it's so cool because I also wanted to put this out here so I can, in a way, because not only am I using these lives to help everybody and to get all this stuff out there, but it's my way of also recording it. So if I ever predict anything, because of some of my videos I have predicted stuff that have just came through as I'm doing these lives, and I do want y'all to know that as I'm doing these lives, I am connecting. Before every live, I call upon the gods and the goddesses and ancestors. Well, I don't call upon them, but I ask them. And then I ask my spirit guides and my ancestors, my spirit guides, the ones that I know of, and that's 2 that I know of, and then the ones that I don't, but I ask them to join me and to be here with me and help me, get every message that flows through me, get it across. Because almost every live that I've done, I've had at least 1 or 2 people on different types or something like that. They've reached out, and in some way, shape, or form, there was a message in there that they needed to hear. But, and my normal way is basically, if I get chills, then that's my way of saying, yes, I'm spot on with this. But with the connected consciousness and everything, that's how, well, for one, that's how we can, that's, in a way, I believe that's how prayer works. I mean, think about it. If we're all praying for one specific thing, but it's just, it's insane, because as I've been doing these lives and doing these lives more and more and, like, truly channeling them, I've been working with these crystals. Now, a lot of the crystals that I actually have are the ones that I've been drawn to. Some people would say this, they're all high vibrational stones by default, by just naturally. They're very high frequency, which are celestials, illustrials, which this right here is the smoky quartz one, also known as alligator quartz. It can also be known as candle quartz due to the fact of how they look. But celestial, this is another celestial. I believe this is smoky quartz celestial. And then of course, clear quartz. But I have other ones as well. Amethyst, which can also be used as an amplifier. I have a piece of, it's actually my partner's, but we kind of split it. Lapis. By the way, that little stuff, that flaky stuff that you see that lights up, that's actually real gold. It's naturally in it. But these are all very high vibrational stones. And something I did not know with celestials, and this is also, it goes with all other crystals too, but with celestials, or celestials. Anyways, with these specifically, what you're supposed to do is because see, the reason these are really cool, I don't know if this is actually going to, like, really pick it up, but see the, like, little different, like, phases of it? What this actually is, and one of the reasons these are so cool is because, for one, these are technically still alive and growing. Inside of them, they're growing. But the reason these are so cool is because this is not just one crystal. These are different individual types of crystals, but at the same time, it is the same, working as the same. And the reason you can have different types of these is because you can have, like, this one's citrine. This one right here is smoky quartz. And basically what it is it has the same properties, right? It has the same properties of any other ones, the celestial. It has the same properties of, and the general properties of citrine. So it has the general properties of both individual crystal, while at the same time, simultaneously, having a slightly mixed with them. And these right here are very good for reaching your higher, to reach a very heightened state. You can, angels, Akasha records, ancestral, smoky celestial quartz, they're really good for helping, break, generational curses or, ties or loops that are in a way negative, past life trauma. It can help heal with that. These are amazing stones. And this story, particularly for this one, I found it at a flea market not far from my house. And that entire day was very cool. But this particular one, I kept looking for something, and I had a specific amount of money, budget of money that I was going to spend. And I already spent $5 of it by buying a skeleton key there. And I knew that I saw at least 2 to 3 people that were selling crystals or stones. And yeah, I just walked in this particular booth. I was really drawn to it, and they had this one right here I got her for $6. Shocked me, but her name is Celine. I know it's very weird, but that's just the name that came to me. And since I've been using these, and since I've been doing these lives, and I did not know this because I've had this happening before, but spiritual people or awakened people, they believe that when your ears ring, scientifically or medically, they tell us that, or I've discovered, or I've done research, and basically they say that when you hear those frequencies or they're ringing in your ear, that sound that you hear, medically, apparently, that's your ears basically dying of that sound. Basically, you'll never be able to hear that sound again. Spiritually, though, or metaphysically, when your ears ring, you are basically moving to a different level of heightenedness with your frequency. Basically, your body and your soul's frequency, your energetic frequency, you are heightening it. And in one particular video of this one, which was a really good one, my ears rang as I started it. But here recently, almost every single week before I do a live, my ears have been ringing more and more. I was doing a meditation the other day with some of these, and my ears were ringing. As soon as I put these down, they stopped. So, like, it's almost validation and confirmation that, like, holy shit, it is true that, you know, once you do start using these crystals, and what's really cool about this one is I've had this one since I was about, I think I was 20. Yeah, I want to say 20 or 21. I've had this one, right? Never knew what it was. Could never identify it. It was given to me by an ex. And he knew it. He thought it was either a crystal or it was a chunk of glass. He did not know. And at the exact same time, in the exact year that I started trying to honor my ancestors, this particular purpose of the stone finally revealed itself. So see, you will gather stones. If you walk into a crystal store, or somebody gives you a crystal, or if you're going crystal shopping, and you find crystals that you're drawn to, but you may not fully understand why, if you can, get them. And the reason I'm stating that is because you can have crystals for 10 years and never really understand why, and then all of a sudden, they reveal themselves to you when you need them. With that, and this also goes with magical tools, but with crystals specifically, there have been incidences where you will lose a crystal, or it will literally just poof, it'll vanish, and then all of a sudden, a year later, 2 years later, you'll find it. I've talked to somebody before who they were moving, and they had lost this specific crystal that was very, very close to them. And once they'd moved out of state and moved into their new house, when they were rearranging and moving stuff in, she somehow found that exact stone. The exact one that she'd lost in the other house, found it. But basically, and the reason behind that and the theory behind that is some people believe that crystals are not from this dimension. They're interdimensional. And when they're no longer serve your purpose, the purpose that you need them for, basically sometimes they'll go on to a different vibration. And crystals amazing. Like, crystals are truly amazing. And I've had some, particularly with this particular one, black kyanite actually, that I wrapped. Is when I first got down here with my partner, and I was like, no, black kyanite, because I had recently discovered black kyanite, and how it was actually shown to me was black kyanite is a very, very strong grounding stone. And when I mean strong, if you drink, do not have black kyanite around you or on you, because it will fuck with you. But you can get a piece of black kyanite, and as you're standing up, put it directly between your legs, and just stand there, and you will feel it literally ground you. especially if you were drinking. My partner, though, we were drinking, and my partner um had put it on, and he was laying in bed, and he freaked out because, like, at about, I would say, 5 minutes after him having it on, he said that he literally felt like it was like falling, like there was a free form like fall going through his chest. And once he took it off, he felt better. But it is a very, very strong grounding stone. Also, these do have to be cleansed a lot, but not with salt water, because I believe salt water or water in general can be slightly corrosive to these. But they also absorb negative energy, and I recently learned that they also, when it comes to 4G or certain frequencies or um, ions that our phones give off or technical devices give off, these right here apparently eliminate them or can help eliminate them. So yeah, and now when you hear me talk about dimensional or interdimensional, that's very new to me. For this year, it's very new to me. Um, and actually, I'm starting to believe that when it comes to aliens, I do not believe that they come from space at all. Not anymore. I'm pretty sure there is some type of life form out there, but I believe a lot of the things that we say are UFOs or extraterrestrial evidence. I believe that they're actually just interdimensional beings. I've personally had a shamanic meditation that I did, a shadow journey meditation. No, I do not. I don't do that unless you are experienced with shadow self and knowing truly what that is. But during that meditation, I had something happen to me, for one, that I've never had happen to me before, and most people think I'm crazy when I say it, but I know what happened, which is levitation. Not what most people think. Like, I didn't go 5-10 feet up in the air. Literally, it was a couple seconds and a couple inches off the concrete that I was sitting on, and then as soon as my brain realized I did it and I felt the air up under me, like, it stopped. So, but like I said, I don't care how much somebody could be sitting here right here arguing with me with it, and there's nothing you could say to tell me different. But anyways, through that, I looked up and I saw something that it scared the shit out of me. At the moment in time, I was not expecting it. Now, I do want to express this very, very strongly. It wasn't negative in any way, shape, or form. Now, I didn't feel endangered. It startled me and scared the shit out of me because, for one, I wasn't expecting it. For two, it had pulled me out of my meditation. I was being, like, when I opened my eyes, I was in a deep meditation, and the reason I opened them was because I felt like something was, like, trying to pull me out of it. And I look up, and there's this shadow thing that's standing very defiantly, crouched down, against a graveyard, or against a grave, and it's the first time in my entire life I've ever had the full-on fight or flight, as in my body completely froze, but every aspect and every ounce of me was screaming run, or get up and go inside, but I couldn't. I was just completely frozen. But it wasn't a demon or anything like that. It was old. It was extremely, extremely old. And what I mean by that, and wise, and honestly, I think he was just kind of, going about his little, however you want to say that, it was just going about, minding his own business, and I think it just kind of looked over and spotted me, or spotted my vibrations, I guess, and he was just kind of curious, that's all. And, yeah, and the reason that's so profound to me is because, for one, I had other stuff. My partner at the time, he had asked the universe or the goddess, to give a signal, to give a specific signal. Because me and him, we were each other's students. We were, like, teaching each other, and, like, yeah, but, he said wolves. He wanted to hear a wolf. During that meditation, I don't know if it was coyotes or wolves, but I heard howling, and it was a very, very distinct, deep, and, like, it made my body just go, I had chills from head to toe. And I didn't even know that until after this experience that I had, and I was already inside, that he told me. So there was a lot of synchronicity with that. And that is another thing. Doing some of the stuff that I talk about in these videos, the small things, either the magical aspect of it or just the spiritual ones, you will start to realize things syncing up. The more you become more spiritual enlightened, the more that you start to realize this stuff is there and there is stuff outside of our own world and stuff like that, you will start to become enlightened. With that, things will start syncing up throughout your life. They have for me. Literally since October, since I've been doing these videos to now, there I could make probably an entire page of list of things that have synchronized in ways that never knew possible. Should not have happened, but they damn sure did. And it's insane. Actually, right before I did this this live, I got a phone call that the synchronicities behind that, I don't even know what the chances of that is. Because, like, things were taken into place before the other part of that synchronicity even became into an existence or even a thought. So yeah. But, I do have to grab something really quick over there, and then, yeah. I will be back, and I will go over the Oracle card of today. This one's going to be interesting, too. Hold on. I forgot something. And I found something that I can show. Sorry about that. I normally have this, my amethyst, chunk of amethyst. I normally have this up here while I do these, but for some reason today I didn't. But this was the key that I was talking about. I bought this for $5 at the flea market. The little skeleton key. And I have 3 or 4 of these now. But, anyways. Okay, so. Oh, wow. Alright, so for everybody who does view this, let me know if you pick the tarot cards or the oracle cards, because we will finish this deck this week. By the way, holy shit, everybody. I did want to... Hold on, I got... Okay, so I'm going to go over this card, and then I will step out really quick, because I have to use the bathroom, and I don't want to end the live yet, because I want to say something specifically to y'all. So, yeah. Actually, I'm going to go use the bathroom really quick, and then I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to announce what I'm going to announce, and say what I'm going to say to y'all, specifically for y'all. Because, wow. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Okay, so today's card. Today's card is Vampire Emotional Intelligence. Ooh. So, Vampire. The deepest, the coldest, the craving of the blood, the hole never filled, The longing like a flood. Whilst there are almost uncountable examples of vampires in literature, movie, and games, somehow the archetype of the blood-hunting, night-stalking, and somewhat elegant creature keeps being reinvented to seduce yet another generation. Although the beautiful and somewhat desirable vampire form doesn't really begin to enter the public consciousness until the mid-1800s, the idea of a human feeding upon the very stuff of life is very much older. The Egyptians, the Sumerians, the Indians, and the Balkan people all have myths containing vampire-like creatures. The vampire is an interesting figure because it is both horrifying and desirable. Having someone want us so much that they desire to be that closely linked with us does feel good, until we realize there is nothing much left of us to give. Most of us have heard of the concept of an emotional vampirism. The idea that people feed off our energies and our goodwill and take advantage of us through the manipulation of their insidious needlessness. Should the vampire appear to you in your reading, it may indicate that you are being drained in the way that the time has come for stronger boundaries. We need to be very aware of what gives us energy in our lives and what takes it away. We should be aware of needing people to need us and why we invite people like this into our homes, workplaces, and lives. If indeed we have them around us, developing the emotional intelligence within ourselves helps us to fight against these kinds of emotional and psychic attacks and enables us to foster healthy, equal relationships of all kinds. Now, that is an amazing card. Like, holy shit. With that, I do have to grab something to show y'all with this because it goes hand in hand, and I've talked about this before, which is the Psychic Vampire Codex, a manual of magic and energy work. So, you're about to see why I brought this up. So, this right here. Okay, so, for one, this is a very important message for everybody. I think everybody needs to hear this in a way. There are some types of people in our lives. Now, I'm not going to call them psychic vampires because I'm about to explain to you in more detail what that is. And slightly different, the different types in a way, I guess. Anyways. Now, there are people that you will have in your life that you will constantly, be there for them and constantly, always have their back, and they'll never have your back. You will have jobs like this. You will have other things in your life that do this. This is what I was talking about when I always go to retrogrades and spiritual changes and basically the wildfires of the universe where things are just completely wiped the fuck out from your life to clean a new slate. What that is and what I mean by that is basically the situations that I always stated that you're giving your time, your energy, and your life force to basically, you're doing everything you can and you're giving this more life. But in reality, all it's doing, it's a parasite. It's a leech. It's just absorbing, taking everything it can from you until you have nothing else to give. And yeah, that's basically what that means. So set up boundaries with that. Now, the reason I brought this book out is because there is a misconception with psychic vampires in the metaphysical and or spiritual and or magic community. Contrary to popular belief, emotional vampires, they're not parasites at all. Okay? They are people that were born naturally with a lack of, or for some reason, their bodies do not produce their energy bodies, their, I guess, spirit or soul in a way. For some reason, they don't fully produce the energy that a normal person would. So with that, what does your body do when you can't get something or something like that? Evolution, everything like that. It found a way. So basically, a psychic vampire, and there are different types. There are emotional There are, and it's broken down more to that. An energy vamp is basically a person that, for some reason, their bodies do not produce enough energy that they need. And because of that, they will draw it from things around them, people around them, and this is the difference, though. For one, you have the psychic vampires. There are kind of stages of it, as in there are people that are asleep, basically. They're the people that feed and they don't know they're doing it because they don't realize what they are. There are the other people that are awakened, basically something, someone, or something has triggered it and they realize what they are. Now with that, you have the other two types of people too. Or more, but basically there are some people that don't realize they're doing it. They may never realize what they are, what they're doing. Other people do, and then the people that do realize what they're doing, I know personally, I know people that don't feed unless they have to, or they have certain permission, because like I stated before, there are certain vampires, it's psychic vampires, that are different because they'll feed on emotion. They won't feed on all emotion, though. There are some people, or some of them, they can only feed, or they will only feed on, like, arguments, or they'll only feed on fights or happy moments. Also, there are the other people, and a lot of these people like to go clubs. They like to go to clubs or cities, and the reason that is because think about what a club is. You have a club, you have like 100 people in it, dancing and raising their energy, just celebrating, and what is it? It's basically an all-you-can-eat buffet. But, for one, this book, I don't know if this is... Originally, I believe she actually has another one that's just called the Energy Codex, and that's just basically working with energy. But this one is both, as in she goes, and she is she actually, Michelle, I'm gonna butcher her name, and I'm sorry, but Michelle Blenger, she did a small session, or a small walk-on thing with, the History Channel. I believe it's the History Channel that actually first did it and aired it. They were doing a Halloween special on vampires, myth or lore, or myth, lore, fact. And they invited her on to feed from somebody to see if they could get it on a thermal imaging camera. The feeding process. Because what is thermal energy? It's energy that we can actually see. And what they recorded shook the people that were there. It stopped everybody in their tracks because they actually got evidence, video recording on a thermal camera of literally, there's distance, there's like probably a 2 to 3 foot distance between them. Like, they're not this close to each other. There's space between them. And she starts to feed, and in the monitor of the thermal imaging, you literally see the person that she talked to that was feeding from, you literally see her thermal energy traveling over and going into her. So that's proof. But I wanted to say they're not evil. They're not necessarily evil. They're all evil people out there, of course. But psychic vampires, they're not parasites. They're nothing like that. They can't control it. It's not their fault. So yeah, that's a little thing. But we also have, there can be psychic vampires or leeches in our lives, like, people that are constantly want to start drama, or the people that, constantly want you to help them, but when you need help, they're not there. So yeah, that's a very important message. Set boundaries, do things. Now, with that being stated, I did want to personally thank every single person that has liked my page, that has subscribed to my page, or followed my page. All the people that like everything that I post on this page, the people that comment, the people that interact, thank you so, so much. I am completely blown away of how fast this page has grown. Now, true enough, I have not hit 200 likes yet, which it's not about that, but just from mid-October, I did have this page a little bit before October, but October is when I really started truly using it. And from just October, from now, we're almost 200 on both the followers and the likes. So, and what's different is if you like my page, then, you know, it's like some of my stuff will, you know, pop up. But if you follow my page, it's like subscribing. You can pick to either be personalized, basically every single time I do these lives, be notified. So yeah, there's that. I just wanted to personally just thank y'all because it means a lot. Like I stated before, I'm trying to grow this page all organically. There will be a point in time where I will do an ad, maybe once or twice, because I want to do this as much as possible. I don't know where this is all heading, but I know it's going to be a really, really great thing when it gets there. It's already an amazing thing, and there are so many things that I have in the works that are slowly being manifested and slowly being brought in. So yeah, 2020 is going to be the year, y'all. 2020, and a lot of people say this, but I believe 2020. I know for me, 2020 is going to be my year. And what I mean by my year is I'm going to be selfish as fuck. And what I mean by that is I'm going to learn more about self-love. I'm going to try to heal some of my past traumas, but at the root of it. So yeah, so many other things, and I believe I went over everything. Now, like I stated, I will be uploading this at some point in time onto my Facebook. I don't know when, though. I mean, my YouTube page. If you haven't already, please go subscribe. Because my YouTube is not, I'm not trying to build up the subscribers, but the faster that I can get to 1,000 subscribers, the more I will be able to do from this phone. And until I get a permanent hotspot out here to where I'm not limited, which should be sometime next year, hopefully, I'm working with what I have and what the universe provides for me. So, yeah. But YouTube, you have to have 1,000 subscribers. You have to have a certain amount of subscribers before they give you live access to go live through YouTube on a phone. I can do it on a desktop or tablet, but I can't do it there. And the reason my lives are not on my Instagram is because the IGT videos, you can only load like 10 minutes unless you have a certain amount of subscribers or if you've been verified before. So there are limitations that I'm running into, but so far Facebook is this, and then once I figure out a way to fix the webcam and everything, I will hopefully start doing these. Actually, I may start doing some random lives on my YouTube page, but I gotta get a better camera to hook up to what I use, because the one that's on there. But, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this a lot, and please let me know, because literally there are 4 to 5 cards left in this deck. I actually believe, I'm checking it now. Let me see, because we may actually run out before the end of this month. I mean, the end of this week. Just went over that one. 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 2, 4, 5. So technically, next Monday, y'all, we will officially have went and broke down this entire deck. The reason I'm so excited is because I'm one of those types of people where I had, when I was younger, as in younger, like a year ago, I had issues with starting stuff and finishing stuff, and through these and through the small daily rituals that I've been setting up, I've been accomplishing more and more and full circle finishing it. So, yeah, for me to say that, you know, we officially broke this down, but I do need to know, because if y'all want me to start breaking down the tarot cards, then I'm not going to start this until my first live in January of 2020. So, but yes, thank y'all so much for everybody who's tuned in and watched. Thank you so much. Yeah, I will post the links that I've talked about later on today on here, and then I will also post them on my YouTube page. Again, if you do see this, please like it. At least like it. That way I know you've seen it. Share it in a group. Share it on a page. Share it to one of your friends. You don't have to share it on your profile if you don't want to, but just share it. I'm trying to make these videos, and if this video rings true to you, then And if you have any people that are new to the craft or spirituality, send them my way. Watch these videos. Let me know how you feel. So, until then, y'all, I hope y'all all have a magical, magical week. Especially since today is Monday, the start of this magical week. Remember, it is the full moon, the last full moon of the decade. So this week should be very magical. And with that being stated, I'm going to sign off. So, good afternoon, morning, noon, night. I don't know your life. I don't know if you're coming home in the morning time or if you're going to work right now or what. But anyways, until then, Fire Lotus.